why is it that we live in an era where we can instantly calculate the exact chemical composition of a star that's, millions of light years away, yet over 1 billion of us are suffering from mental health crises and just like this profound, crushing loneliness?
It really is the ultimate paradox of our time.
I mean, I want you to really just sit with that for a second. We've mapped the human genome. We can literally split the atom.
Right.
We have instantaneous access to like the accumulated knowledge of the entire human species right in our pockets.
Yeah.
But somehow we've completely lost the map to our own minds.
Yeah, we really have.
And that's exactly what we are exploring in today's deep dive.
Yeah.
We're looking at this deeply fascinating framework that diagnoses this exact modern dilemma.
And it does it in such a unique way, too.
Exactly. What makes this approach so powerful is that it uses this method of triangulation. It weaves together classical Islamic theology, empirical modern science, and ancient philosophy to present this one incredibly urgent argument, which is our society is currently drowning in information, but we are absolutely starving for wisdom.
Yeah, and to really ground our explorations today, we should probably start where the framework itself begins.
Which is that prayer, right?
Right. It's this very specific, almost haunting prayer from the Prophet Muhammad.
Mhm.
The translation essentially goes, "O God, I seek refuge in you from knowledge that does not benefit and from a heart that is not humble."
Wow. That feels incredibly relevant to right now.
It is. I mean, it really is. Because he wasn't warning against ignorance in the traditional sense of just like not knowing things.
Right, not just being uneducated.
Exactly. He was warning against a hyper-developed intellect that can calculate the price, weight, the velocity to everything, but feels absolutely nothing.
Oh, that's heavy.
It's a warning against climbing to the absolute peak of technological and scientific power, while the human character just sort of withers away in the dark.
So let's look at the actual mechanics of how this happens. Because when we look around today, you and I, we are constantly bombarded.
Oh, constantly.
Notifications, endless news cycles, algorithmically generated outrage. We are trapped in this constant state of what the framework calls ghafla, which translates to this deep spiritual distraction.
Yeah, a kind of existential heedlessness.
Right. The noise of our daily lives is so deafening that we can't even hear our own conscience anymore. But how does this philosophy actually explain the root cause of that noise? Like, where did we actually go wrong?
Well, the diagnosis here is that we have fundamentally disrupted the hierarchy of knowledge.
The hierarchy of knowledge. Okay, break that down for me.
So you see, this classical system, it doesn't view knowledge as just this massive, chaotic bazaar of random facts that you collect just to win arguments online or, get a promotion at work. Knowledge actually has a strict life or death architecture. And it divides our duty to seek knowledge into two very distinct spheres.
Okay.
The first is the absolute non-negotiable duty of every single individual to understand their core purpose.
Like the why of it all.
Exactly. It is the pursuit of understanding the unity of the universe, knowing your creator, and grasping the moral weight of your own existence. This is the absolute bedrock. It's known as tawhid.
So that's the internal spiritual foundation, the first sphere.
Yes, and only upon that foundation do we build the second sphere of knowledge, which is the collective duty of society to pursue worldly sciences.
Oh, so like medicine, engineering, that sort of thing.
Precisely. Medicine, law, physics, economics.
Yeah.
The society absolutely must pursue these things to function and thrive.
Okay, let me make sure I'm really wrapping my head around this dynamic here. It sounds like we are operating this highly complex, incredibly dangerous machine, which represents our life, our society, our technology.
I like that analogy, yeah.
And we're frantically pushing every single button on the dashboard, pulling every lever we can find, but we've entirely skipped reading the operational manual.
That's exactly it. We have no idea why the machine was built.
Right, or where it's even supposed to be flying. Inevitably, the machine is going to tear itself apart. You can't just obsess over the buttons, like the worldly sciences, without understanding the core engine, that foundational spiritual purpose.
That is a brilliant way to visualize it. And, I mean, the data shows us exactly what happens when that operational manual is just tossed out the window.
It's not pretty.
No, it's not. When that foundation of purpose is stripped away, we fall entirely into that state of ghafla, that spiritual distraction. And what's wild is that this is not just some abstract, poetic metaphor for theologians to debate. It has a brutal clinical diagnosis today.
The mental health stats.
Yes. Look at the World Health Organization's Mental Health Atlas for 2024. The numbers are almost they're almost difficult to process. Over 1 billion people worldwide are currently suffering from mental health disorders.
A billion.
Over 1 billion. That is more than 1 in 8 people on planet Earth.
And didn't the WHO Commission on Social Connection also report on the loneliness epidemic?
Yeah, they reported that 1.3 billion people are experiencing chronic loneliness.
I mean, let that sink in for a second.
Yeah.
You know? 1.3 billion. We are the most digitally connected, hyper-communicative generation in the history of the human species.
We can video chat across oceans in high definition.
Exactly. Yet our inner lives are completely isolated. And the mechanism of how this actually harms us it's terrifying. The U.S. Surgeon General and multiple researchers, they've pointed out that chronic loneliness isn't just sad. It's not just a bad feeling.
No, it's intensely physical.
Right. It triggers a physiological stress response. It raises cortisol. It increases inflammation. And it damages your physical body as much as smoking 15 cigarettes a day.
Because it is a physiological manifestation of a profound spiritual void. That's what this framework argues.
Wow.
This whole epidemic of despair happens because we have severed ourselves from our innate natural compass that points toward meaning and truth.
So without the compass, we're just adrift.
Exactly. When you truly internalize that foundational knowledge, when you really know your purpose and your place in the universe, you lose those paralyzing everyday anxieties that control modern life.
Like what kind of anxiety?
Like the terrifying fear of poverty. You stop being intimidated by worldly tyrants, and you break free from these exhausting modern idols of, ego and social validation. Without that anchor, the human mind just drifts, and the nervous system basically panics.
Now, I can imagine someone listening to this right now and thinking, okay, so the solution is to just reject the modern world, right? Throw away my smartphone, go live in a cave, and just meditate on my spiritual purpose all day.
Right, the monastic route.
Yeah. But that's not what this philosophy is advocating at all, is it? It still demands that we master the worldly sciences. We are supposed to engage with the world, not flee from it.
Entirely. The framework explicitly states that society has a sacred obligation to produce brilliant doctors, just judges, and visionary scientists.
A sacred obligation to science. I love that.
It's beautiful, really. The theology basically suggests that God wrote 2 books. There's the revealed book of Scripture, and then there's the cosmic physical book of the universe.
Yeah.
From the behavior of, the smallest subatomic particle to the rotation of the largest galaxy.
And we need people who can read both.
We desperately need people who can read both. But today, that balance between the spiritual and the scientific is just completely shattered.
Yeah.
There was this 2022 study in the journal Scientometrics that highlighted this imbalance perfectly. They looked at 15 Muslim-majority countries, representing about 14% of the global population. Yet, over the last 3 decades, they produced only around 5% of global scientific publications.
Oh, wow. That's a huge disparity.
It points to a profound historical stagnation.
And it's such a stark, heartbreaking contrast to history, because when you look at the Islamic Golden Age, that synthesis of spirit and science was literally the absolute engine of civilization.
It really was.
You had the House of Wisdom in Baghdad. You had Muslim, Christian, Jewish, and Zoroastrian scholars sitting in the exact same rooms, collaborating. They didn't view foreign secular knowledge as some sort of threat to their faith.
No, they viewed it as scattered pieces of a universal divine puzzle.
Right. I mean, history tells us they were paying for translated scientific manuscripts in solid gold.
Solid gold. And what is truly remarkable is the specific motivation that was driving their scientific breakthroughs. We could look at the Persian polymath Al-Khwarizmi.
Oh, the algebra guy.
Exactly, the father of algebra. He didn't invent algebra just to, secure academic tenure or to win an award or to make a massive profit.
Right.
His primary driving motivation was intensely practical and spiritual. He needed to find a flawless mathematical method to accurately calculate the highly complex inheritance laws laid out in the Quran.
Wait, really? That's why he invented algebra?
Yes. Those laws involve intricate fractions and multiple dependents, and he wanted to ensure absolute divine justice for grieving families. So his theology was the engine, right?
Hmm.
And mathematics was simply the tool he forged to fulfill it.
I just love that. Or look at Ibn al-Haytham, right? Who is widely considered the father of modern optics.
Oh, brilliant example.
He revolutionized the scientific method centuries before the European Enlightenment even began. He built the camera obscura, and he proved mathematically that physical light travels into the eye, completely overturning that old Greek theory that the eye, shoots out beams of light like a laser.
Right, the emission theory.
Yeah. And why did he dedicate his entire life to this? Because he believed that studying the physical behavior of light was the most direct, tangible way to understand the light of God in the universe. To him, empirical science was a literal act of worship.
It was the perfect marriage of purpose and progress.
But, there is a really deep tragedy embedded in this history, too. This incredible synthesis of wisdom. It was lost to violence.
It was
In 1258, the Mongol Empire sacked Baghdad. They took the greatest libraries on Earth and threw millions of handwritten, totally irreplaceable books into the Tigris River. Historical accounts say the water literally ran black with ink for days.
It's devastating to even picture.
And the framework connects this to the burning of Nalanda University in India in 1193, where a massive ancient library burned for months. The universal rule of human history becomes very, very clear here. Civilizations that value wisdom and inquiry become immortal, while civilizations that prioritize fanaticism, dominance, and a fear of knowledge, they inevitably orchestrate their own destruction.
And, that transition from historical destruction brings us directly to the crisis of modern destruction. Except today, we aren't destroying knowledge with fire or swords.
What are we doing?
We're destroying it through illusion. Within this framework, acquiring facts, which is called ilm, and performing ethical action called amal, are completely 100% inseparable.
You can't have one without the other.
Right. To possess facts without allowing them to change your moral behavior is the very definition of hypocrisy.
Which, honestly, is a universal philosophical truth. Socrates taught this exact same concept in the streets of ancient Athens.
He did.
He argued that true knowledge without ethical action is just a logical impossibility. If you genuinely know what is good, you will inevitably do it. If you act corruptly, it means you never really understood the good in the first place, no matter how eloquently you can debate it on a podcast.
Exactly.
And Confucius taught the exact same thing thousands of miles away. Learning without thinking is a waste, but thinking without learning is incredibly dangerous.
The classical scholar Al-Khatib al-Baghdadi, he captured this with such a beautiful metaphor. He wrote that knowledge is a tree, and moral action is its fruit. A scholar who just hoards facts but whose actions are corrupt is not a guiding light for society. They are merely carrying a fiery burden on their back.
A fiery burden.
Which naturally leads us to what is arguably the ultimate existential question of our time: artificial intelligence.
Oh, here we go.
Because we have successfully built machines that possess nearly infinite access to data, AI can pass the bar exam in the 90th percentile. It can diagnose obscure tumors with terrifying accuracy. It can even synthesize poetry. But according to this framework, it is entirely devoid of hikmah, or true wisdom.
Okay, but hold on. Let me push back on this a little bit. Look at how incredibly fast these AI models are evolving. We are actively programming ethical guardrails, utility functions, and these really complex alignment protocols.
We are, yeah.
So if an advanced AI can perfectly simulate ethical behavior, analyze a complex moral dilemma, and consistently arrive at the optimal, least harmful outcome, why doesn't that eventually count as wisdom? Are we just splitting theological hairs over what a soul is?
It's a crucial question, but I promise you, it's not just splitting hairs. It is the fundamental difference between calculation and character.
Okay, explain that.
The temptation of our age is to believe that we can mathematically code a soul. But this framework argues that true wisdom requires skin in the game. It requires vulnerability. And AI is just a brilliant calculator sitting in the dark.
Right.
It completely lacks a soul, a row. It has no ego that it must painfully battle and overcome. And most importantly, it has no moral accountability before a creator. An algorithm doesn't fear the consequences of its actions on its own spirit.
It has nothing to lose.
Exactly. It doesn't feel the crushing weight of freedom. It cannot feel genuine remorse. It cannot grieve, and it cannot cry. True wisdom is only forged in the crucible of mortality and moral consequence. A machine cannot be brave because it cannot die.
Man, that makes a lot of sense. You can't have wisdom without the risk of being wrong and actually feeling the pain of that error.
Yeah.
So what happens when a society begins to rely entirely on these soulless calculators and algorithms to mediate reality? We get trapped in what the philosophy diagnoses as yal murakab, which translates to double ignorance.
Double ignorant.
It's this psychological state of knowing absolutely nothing of value, but being arrogantly, aggressively convinced that you know everything. You are so ignorant that you don't even know that you don't know.
And we are undeniably living in the golden age of double ignorance. We have algorithms designed to feed us exactly what we already believe, constantly reinforcing our biases, and shielding us from nuance.
Oh, entirely.
Yeah.
If you look at the Reuters digital news report for 2025, it highlights that online influencers and highly polarized politicians are now globally considered the biggest sources of dangerous misinformation.
And the Edelman Trust Barometer for 2025 backs that up entirely. They documented this systematic, terrifying collapse of global trust in basic institutions, in traditional media, and in science itself.
People just don't trust anything anymore.
No, they don't. We are trapped in these impenetrable echo chambers. Civilized discourse is completely breaking down, and everyone's just shouting their prepackaged opinions at each other. It's exhausting.
It really is. But this double ignorance, this illusion of wisdom, it isn't just a philosophical problem ruining our internet debates. It has a massive physical footprint.
It really does.
Because when arrogant, unanchored intelligence gets its hands on industrial technology, it physically destroys our home.
Which brings us to a foundational concept regarding our actual role on this planet. The framework views human beings as sacred stewards of the earth. We are Khalifa. We have been handed a profound trust, an amana, a responsibility to maintain the cosmic balance.
We aren't just apex predators meant to consume everything in our path.
Exactly. Therefore, using our immense, highly evolved intelligence without a single drop of wisdom is a profound betrayal of that trust. It's called khiana. It is considered literal treason against creation itself.
And the data on this betrayal is genuinely brutal. Look at the WWF Living Planet report. 73% of all monitored wildlife populations simply vanished between 1970 and 2020.
Wiped out in a single human lifetime.
73%. 1 million species are currently facing total extinction. We have scientists warning in their 2025 biodiversity report that if we hit 3.2 degrees Celsius of warming, we could wipe out a third of all known species on Earth.
It's horrifying.
The tragic irony here is staggering. We're using the most brilliant, complex scientific tools ever conceptualized by the human mind just to systematically dismantle and destroy our own life support system.
And why are we capable of doing this while knowing the facts? Because of what the theology calls canonem, the sealing of the collective human heart.
The sealing of the heart.
Yes. We are acidifying our oceans and burning down ancient forests, fully aware of the consequences, just to optimize quarterly profit margins for a few massive corporations.
Right.
A sealed heart is when they can look at the charts, see the devastating data of ecological collapse, and feel absolutely no connection to the sacredness of the life being lost. It is a state of being physically alive, but spiritually deceased.
Okay, this is incredibly heavy. We've looked at the massive global crises, the historical loss of the Golden Age, and the literal destruction of our planetary ecosystem.
That's a lot.
It is. But if true wisdom, hikmah, is the only antidote to this double ignorance, how do you and I actually get it? How does a regular person commuting to work, living in the modern digital world, actually cultivate this? Because I can't just buy wisdom on Amazon, and no university on Earth offers a master's degree in it.
That's the real question, right? And the framework actually acknowledges that gap and offers a deeply practical blueprint. It draws from a fascinating figure in the Quran named Luqman the Wise.
Luqman the Wise, okay.
His advice to his son serves as this timeless curriculum for attaining wisdom, and it maps perfectly onto the chaos of our modern lives. It essentially rests on 4 core principles.
All right, walk us through them. How do we start?
First, you have to recognize absolute truth by actively smashing your modern idols. Luqman explicitly warns against idolatry. Now, today we aren't generally bowing down to wooden statues.
Right, our idols are a bit more sophisticated.
Exactly. Our modern idols are the blind worship of money, the exhausting pursuit of status, the literal addiction to social media metrics, and the arrogant worship of our own intellect. Wisdom cannot enter a space cluttered by idols. You have to tear them down first.
Wow, right. And the second principle is cultivating a sense of absolute responsibility. Luqman tells his son that even a deed the size of a tiny mustard seed hidden deep inside a rock will eventually be brought forth by God.
A mustard seed.
Yeah. It's this terrifying but necessary awareness that everything is recorded. In a digital world where we think we can hide behind anonymous avatars, or that our digital footprint just fades into the ether, the mustard seed reminds us that every cruel comment, every hidden intention has genuine cosmic weight.
It really does. Third is the active daily killing of the ego. Luqman advises his son against walking through the earth with arrogance. Wisdom understands that intellect without humility is literally demonic.
Literally demonic.
Yes. In this theology, Satan didn't fall from grace because he lacked theological knowledge.
Yeah.
I mean, he literally spoke directly to God.
Oh, that's a great point.
He fell because of pure, unadulterated arrogance. He looked at humanity and thought he was inherently superior. In an era that practically monetizes rampant narcissism, choosing to kill your ego is a revolutionary act.
And the fourth principle is maintaining balance and lowering your voice. Luqman points out that the harshest, most abrasive of all sounds is the braying of a donkey.
Yes.
In a media culture that constantly financially rewards whoever shouts the loudest, whoever interrupts the most, and whoever polarizes the fastest, the truly wise person actively chooses the dignity of the quiet, measured voice.
And if we want to actually implement those four principles, the framework gives us three practical sequential steps to prepare the soil of our own hearts
Yeah.
to receive that light of wisdom.
Okay, what are the steps?
The first step is tawadu, deep humility. You have to admit you are blind before you can genuinely ask for light. You have to look at the complexity of the world and be comfortable saying, I don't know.
Which is so hard for people today. And the second step is where it gets really profound to me. It's zud, which is inner detachment.
Detachment.
I love the way this is framed because it doesn't mean you have to take a vow of poverty or, like, hate the world. The metaphor the classical scholars use is brilliant. The gold can be in your hand, you can build businesses and innovate, but the gold must never be allowed to nest in your heart.
That is beautifully said.
And the scholar Ibn al-Qayyim actually compared a diseased, greedy heart to a physical sick stomach. Think about it. If you have a severe stomach bug and someone feeds you pure, raw honey, one of the sweetest, most healing foods on earth, your sick stomach will aggressively reject it.
They will just vomit it up.
You will literally vomit it up. The honey didn't change, but your capacity to process it is broken. If your heart is full of greed, envy, and the blind desire for power, it will vomit up the sweetness of divine wisdom. The truth will actually become irritating and offensive to you.
It's a visceral image, but it captures the psychology perfectly.
Yeah.
And the final step is muraqabah, constant self-observation.
But not in a creepy way, right?
No. We have to carefully distinguish this from modern surveillance. Today, we are tracked by cameras, browser cookies, data brokers, and it causes massive societal paranoia and anxiety.
We're constantly being watched by algorithms.
Exactly. This spiritual self-observation is the exact opposite. It is the liberating, deeply calming awareness that you are constantly being observed by a creator of infinite mercy. It refines your moral judgment second by second, not out of panic or fear of being canceled, but out of profound love and awe.
So what does this all mean for you listening right now? It means that true wisdom isn't locked away in an ancient library, and it certainly isn't buried in a Silicon Valley server farm. It is a divine light that has to pulsate in your bloodstream and dictate your everyday actions.
Because knowledge without character isn't just useless, it's a destructive burden.
Exactly. We are drowning in oceans of data, but we are absolutely parched for the kind of wisdom that makes us better, softer humans.
Which brings us to a specific call to action.
Let's hear it.
The absolute most critical assignment you can take from this framework is the practice of tafakkur, conscious, silent reflection. We challenge you today to take just 5 minutes, turn off every single screen, step away from the endless noise.
Just 5 minutes.
Look at the sky, look at a tree, or just sit quietly with the rhythm of your own heartbeat. And brutally, honestly ask yourself, is the endless stream of information I am consuming every single day making me softer, more humble, and more compassionate? Or is it making me more anxious, more arrogant, and more eager to argue?
That is the ultimate test of what we are letting into our minds. And I want to leave you with one final provocative thought to mull over today. Imagine that tomorrow, a massive, unprecedented solar flare wipes out every hard drive, every cloud server, and every digital encyclopedia on Earth.
Wow.
All our accumulated data, all our algorithms, instantly gone. Would the wisdom you have actively cultivated in your own character be enough to guide you through the dark?
That is a profound question to end on.
You can read the full article on this deep dive and explore these concepts even further over at meaningoflife.coach. Until next time, keep questioning, keep reflecting, and keep seeking the light.